So I'd like to preface this video by saying that I'm in a very cramped office right now, and there's really not much room for me to move around as well as I'd like to, or as much as I'd like to. So for that, I apologize. But with each slide, I'll be saying next slide, so that way you can be on the same slide as me, so you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's get started. My name is David Longacre. I am one of 3 members who worked on this presentation for you guys today. We're going to be talking about healthy weight management. The other people who worked with me on this are Jill and Holly, so thank you to them too. So next slide. So what are the components of maintaining a healthy weight? There's 2 main components that comprise, being healthy. The first of which is diet. Very, very important what you put into your body, and the second of which is exercise, and that's kind of what you get out of your body. You really want to be pushing yourself to where you're, elevating your heart rate and sweating. You really just want to be working out also. So next slide. It's time to brainstorm with a partner. Can we brainstorm for 3 minutes? Basically, the question I want you guys asking each other is, what does healthy weight management mean to you? It could be anything. Next slide. A couple rules for brainstorming would be, the first one is that criticism is ruled out. There's no such thing as a stupid answer, and that kind of goes off with number 2 that you see here with the elephant with the umbrella, and he's flying and everything. Just roll with it. Any ideas that you get, they're not dumb. Just say them anyways, and they might end up being something really, really good in the long run. The third is that quantity is wanted. I want all of you guys participating. I don't want anyone, just sitting there not doing anything. I really want to hear your guys' ideas. And the last one would be that combination and improvement are sought and looked for. If your partner has one idea, it'd be best if you built upon that. So now we're going to fast forward like we just brainstormed for 3 minutes. So next slide. What is BMI? Well, BMI stands for Body Mass Index, and it's a measure of body fat that's based on height and weight that applies to adult men and women. And if you see on your slides here, on the left-hand side, you have the body mass index of women, and it goes from underweight to healthy weight to overweight to obese. And you have that same index over there on the men. However, you'll notice that the numbers themselves, the values are different, and they're different for men and women. So this next slide here is how to calculate BMI. I just wanted to list it so we have it as a reference, and then you have an example towards the bottom of your slide. However, we have a workout that's going to be after the lesson, a handout that's going to be after the lesson, where you will reference this slide. These aren't things you have to memorize, but I just want it to be there for you guys as a reference. Next slide. So some health risks associated with obesity and some diseases. Some prominent ones are metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, cancer, osteoarthritis, gout, and sleep apnea. As you'll see on the other side of the slide here, you also have type 2 diabetes, and basically everything that comes with that metabolic syndrome we mentioned earlier, the high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Just basically really not good things can come from not managing your weight. So it's very, very important that everyone gets their diet on track and their exercise routines. Next slide. Another brainstorming activity. Now that you have the very introductory parts of the lesson, I want you to, with your same partner, to brainstorm for 10 minutes about the causes of obesity and some examples along with that. Once you guys have finished brainstorming, I want you to take an additional 5 minutes to categorize which ones can be attributed to genes and which causes can be attributed to the environment. Okay, so we'll fast forward through brainstorming. So next slide. How does nutrition support weight loss? Well, macronutrients constitute the bulk of the diet and supply energy and many essential nutrients. The 3 macronutrients that everyone knows of are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And you'll see how important these are in the next coming slides. So next slide. And right here on the left-hand side, those 3 macronutrients are explained for us. Your carbs, your carbohydrates, those are your body's preferred source of energy. That's how, that's what gets us up and going. They're the best source of vitamins, minerals, and dietary fiber. Now moving on to fats. If you hear people say that fats are bad for you, they're not necessarily telling you the truth. Yes, eating a lot of fats is bad for you. Same thing as eating a lot of carbs or a lot of protein. You just want to, the quantity is what matters. But fats are good for you. For example, some examples here, they boost your blood, boost your skin, they boost your vital organs. And then we move on to protein. So protein, that helps builds, maintain, and repairs your body's cells. And it also regulates important bodily processes. On the other side of your slide here, you have the percentage of your calories, your caloric intake, which should be comprised of, those macronutrients. So, for example, your carbs, about 45 to 65% of your total caloric intake for the day. Your fats should be 20 to 35%, and protein should be 10 to 35%. Best piece of advice that I can give you is that to eat well without overeating, you want to choose foods that are nutrient dense, which means that you want to choose the meals that provide the most nutritional value for you. Next slide. This is just a resource that I strongly advise that you guys use. It's choosemyplate.gov, and it basically it logs your eating style and makes sure that you're eating healthy. And it's something that you can build on, throughout your life as you continue to eat healthier. It focuses on variety, the different kinds of food that you eat. It focuses on the amount, the quantity, and it focuses on the nutritional value of each meal. And in time, hopefully, you can choose choose foods and beverages that have less saturated fats, sodiums, added sugars. But like I said, you want to start with small changes, and then it can be something, much bigger and much better. A couple consequences of leading a sedentary lifestyle, that's sitting down, not really doing anything active. Physical inactivity may increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, contribute to anxiety, depression, risk of certain cancers, obesity, and the metabolic syndrome of having high cholesterol and blood pressure. Next slide. So recommended guidelines for physical activity. It's been noted that adults should be doing at least 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity or 75 minutes a week of vigorous intensity aerobic physical activity. You have some examples in the pyramid that you see on your screen, along with in the next slide. Some other examples, swimming, running, hiking, dancing, kickboxing. You want to keep the exercise level, the intensity level at moderate to vigorous though. Last thing I really wanted to touch on were weight loss barriers. So what are weight loss barriers? They're either perceived or physical barriers that prevent weight loss. And what's the difference between perceived and physical? Well, next slide. Perceived barriers to weight loss are barriers that are based on the thoughts or feelings of the person who's trying to lose weight. Examples can be stress, lack of motivation, skepticism of the ability to lose weight, and a negative physical activity history can all lead to, not wanting to work out again or not having the confidence to do so. Some physical barriers, those are tangible reasons as to why the dieter can't lose weight. That could be, a medical issue. It could be, that they're, they have a broken foot or something, for example. Muscle fatigue or discomfort if there's just a lot of pain that prevents them from working out, or a lack of sleep is also a physical barrier. Next slide. How to overcome these barriers. There's a couple resources that you need to use. Definitely talk with your physician about your weight loss program before you start it. I want you to be researching different exercise plans and diets before you use them in your personal life. You want support from your family, your friends, and your loved ones, and you want support from yourself too. Self-motivation is very, very important. You should also use stress reduction techniques such as deep breathing and meditation. In terms of independent practice, there's a couple things that I'd like for you guys to do. Using the Choose My Plate that I briefly touched on earlier, I want you to log your diets for 3 days and track them. Everything that you eat, whether it's a cup of coffee in the morning to, your grande nachos or something for dinner. This will help you learn, what nutrients you need, and then also what you should be cutting out of your diets to make changes to make yourself healthier. The second thing is I want you to incorporate a personalized exercise plan that will help you achieve your weight loss goals. Just, make a routine for yourself. On Monday and Wednesday, I'm going to go running for half an hour. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to go biking for 20 minutes each day. Something like that. Just create a personalized exercise plan that works for you. And lastly, I want you to write a paragraph about what 5 lifestyle changes that you can incorporate within a week for better health. Thank you very much.